Good morning, everybody. And first of all, I'd like to say thank you and welcome aboard to all the new subscribers. We've had an increase in subscriber number, and that's always exciting. And I'd just like to say thanks for coming. Thanks for showing an interest in what we do. We don't do much. Also, we have a garden, we have some chickens and a pet goat. And we do a little bit of cooking for ourselves. That's basically all we do. But we try to make it interesting. So one of the things that I want to do today is show you our greenhouses and try to give a little explanation as to how we built them to begin with. Because these greenhouses, I call them hoop houses. You can call them either one. We designed and built ourselves, both of them, from just raw materials. So a lot of people have been asking about them. So I thought I would take a minute to show you. Alright, let's take a look. I guess I'll start with the smaller one of the two hoop houses. This one here is approximately 12 feet wide from left to right, and it's 18 feet deep or long. Okay, easy enough. Now to build this thing, what we did was we built out of, I think, lumber, 2x6 lumber, we built a rectangle on the ground. So you can't see it anymore because there's a lot of mulch and a lot of vegetation in the way, but down along the sides there are 2x6s that go the entire length of the hoop house, and then along the back, I might have used 2x4 on the back and front, from left to right, and then another 2x6 coming up to the front over here. Okay, that's easy enough, but the problem is that just regular spruce lumber from the lumberyard, because it comes into contact with the ground and the dirt, it rots relatively quickly. And this hoop house has been here for maybe 6 years, maybe 7. And it's holding up so far. But some of the lumber that we used is rotting. And that's a darn shame. We don't like to use pressure treated lumber at all. There are a couple places where we did use some pressure treated in our various projects, but we don't care to use it. So that's how you start. And then to build the hoops themselves, we decided that on this particular one, we wanted to have the hoops 3 feet apart. Now, as far as how we determined the size can be any size you want. And we just wanted, for this one, just a small size. This one actually replaces a different hoop house that we built, our first one, which was 12 feet wide by 20 feet long. So this one we made 12 feet wide by 18 feet long, and we made those ribs 3 feet apart. So there's 3 feet between ribs. This is a rib, that's a rib, that's a rib, and there's 7. There's a total of 7 hoops. We call them ribs, we call them hoops. So there's 7 of them for the entire greenhouse. Now, in addition to those 7 hoops, we also have 3 purlins. So the purlin is that horizontal piece there, and we have one there, we have one on the other side as well for strength, and then we have a ridge purlin or a ridge piece. And each of those go the length of the hoop house, or about 18 feet. Wherever 2 of the hoop members or purlins come together or cross each other's path, we use that bracket that you see there. It's a little pricey. They're about $3 each, $2 or $3 each. We got those from Johnny's Seeds. And so we used those wherever the purlin crosses a hoop. So there's, let's see, 7, 7, and 7. So I guess there's 21 of them. Now the hoops themselves and the purlins are made out of the same pipe. It's an 1 3/8" diameter pipe that we got at the big box store. They sell them at both Home Depot and Lowe's. Don't like going to big box stores, but there are some times when if you want to get an item, you have to go to one. Anyway, we have we purchased the pipes there, and they're called chain link fence top rail. So if you want to build one of these hoop houses and you want to do it the way we did, you would go over to the chain link fence department where they have all the fencings, and you would look for an item called top rail. Now these top rail pipes are 10.5 feet long, and one end for about 6 inches of the 10.5 feet is swaged, which means that it comes to a bit of a taper so that it can fit inside of the next pipe. I don't know if you can make that out, but you can see possibly the seam where the two pipes come together. The pipe on the right hand side has the swage on it, and it's being inserted into the pipe on the left hand side. Well, that's all well and good, Stephanie, but how on earth did you bend them like that? It must have been a Herculean effort. Well, it's not really that bad, and I'll show you why. Now, Johnny's Seeds sells pipe benders. They're basically a jig, and you insert one end of your pipe into the jig, and then you grab the other end of the pipe where you have leverage, and you just pull on it, and this pipe bends relatively easily. But the jigs at the time were about $100 each, and we just thought that for the few we're going to be doing, we didn't want to spend the $100. If we were professional market gardeners who were going to be making several of these hoop houses, then yeah, maybe we could justify it then. But we're just building 2 hoop houses. We decided not to invest in it. We made our own. We made our own bending jig. And I'm over here by the picnic table because I want to show you how we did it. We have 2 of these wooden picnic tables, and we put them outside where there's a lot of space. And I took the other picnic table and I butted it up against this picnic table right here, so that in effect we had an L shape. And then I screwed them fast to each other so they wouldn't move. And then I grabbed a bunch of short 2x4s and I just screwed them fast to the surface of the picnic tables so that I could put the pipe in, and then I could pull it to bend it. And that's not a very good explanation, I know. You'll probably have to go online to YouTube, and I know you'll be able to find examples of how people bend these pipes. I think Johnny's Seeds has a video or 2 on their pipe benders. You may want to just buy one of their pipe benders. So it's up to you. But that's how we did it. While you're shopping at Johnny's Seeds, you might also get a couple packages of these white plastic clips that holds the plastic in place. They're very handy. You can remove them if you want to take the plastic off and redistribute it or something, and they're very easy to just pop back on. And the greenhouse plastic itself we got from Johnny's Seeds. It's plastic film that's designed for greenhouses, so you can't go wrong. It's a 6 mil thickness, and you can get all types of sizes, widths and lengths, and that's where I would shop for the plastic as well. This is our other hoop house. You might actually call it a greenhouse because it's not made out of semicircular ribs. It actually comes to a peak up there and then goes down the other side. So the design here is a little bit more complicated, and I'll show you why. Now for this hoop house, we wanted the ribs to go out first and then come back in toward the top. So they start off down at the base frame and they immediately bend outward. They bend outward and then they go up to the top. I've never seen another greenhouse or hoop house like this. But and the reason why was because we thought that if we were working close to the far edge, then it would give us a place for our shoulder to go into. And we also thought that it would give us more room if we were to bring the BCS rototiller in here. Give us more room. And so that's why we went out first and then up. So you can see that odd shape. It almost looks like something you'd see in Saudi Arabia. One of those strange Middle East type shapes to a structure. So these ribs are also 3 feet apart. And the building is 30 feet long. So if you include the beginning one, that means that there's 11 ribs total. 11 ribs total. However, each rib consists of a 10-foot piece for the first part of the rib, and then you go up to a certain distance, and then you get the swaged piece going into the other. I cut 10-footers in half, so I've got a straight section up there that's 5 feet long. And then of course you go down the other side, and then down around. That means that each one of these ribs is made out of 3 pipes. 3 pipes times 11 ribs, that would be 33 pipes right there. But then you have the purlins. So again, the purlins are the horizontal pieces, and because of the size of this hoop house, we decided to go with 1 purlin right there that you're looking at 5 feet above the ground, and then you go on up, and then there's a second purlin right there. And then of course you have the ridge purlin, and then you go down the other side. So each purlin is made up of 3 pieces. So there's 5 purlins, so that's 15 more pipes. So 15 and 33 is 48, something like that. That's how many of these pipes you would need. And then we decided that in this greenhouse, because it's so big, we have seen in other people's greenhouses, and we visited many greenhouses, that we would put these horizontal pieces. These are made out of 3/4 inch electrical conduit. So it's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's got 11 of those as well. And of course it's got those brackets also for wherever a purlin crosses a rib. And of course you've got your greenhouse plastic. You can't forget that. In fact, they say that greenhouse plastic lasts about 4 years. I've been told that. But we've had this greenhouse plastic probably for 10 years. And some of the side greenhouse plastic you can see there is a little bit worse for wear. Danielle's been telling me that we need to repair those holes, and I think our friend from the Pacific Northwest told us about a Tyvek tape, so I'm going to explore that possibility, and I thank you again for that suggestion. I've tried other tapes, including packing tape, and they actually have a greenhouse plastic repair tape. They don't last. So I'll probably get a roll of the Tyvek tape and see how that works. Thank you again for that suggestion. So the only other thing you have to do is come up with a design for your end wall. Now, it's best to, if you're going to build one of these things, it's best to look at other people's greenhouses. You'll see a lot of pictures online, a lot of videos on YouTube and so forth. And we actually rebuilt this particular end wall a couple of years ago. if I were to show you the one on the opposite end, you would see why. It just didn't hold up. But this time, instead of 1x4s, we used 2x4s, and it's holding up much better. We have two big doors that we can go in through those doors. And we originally widened the opening because we parked our chickshaw in the greenhouse. So it meant that we had to actually wheel it right in. We only had our chickens in that greenhouse one winter. One of the problems with that, I mean, it's great for the chickens. It's like Florida in there. And I should also mention at this point that these greenhouses are not heated. They're what they call cold houses. They do warm up quite a bit on a sunny winter day because of the sun, of course, but they are otherwise unheated. But the chickens loved it in there, but it meant that we weren't able to grow any winter greens in there because they had the run of the whole greenhouse. Getting back to this hoop house for a second, we're going to put that chickshaw with the Isa Brown chickens inside this hoop house for the winter. But it will mean reinforcing the roof of it. We're going to make a ridge beam, and we're going to have two upright posts to hold any snow load, because if you look at the top of that hoop house, it's kind of flat, as opposed to a lot of hoop houses you see. And I can picture the snow building up there if we get a heavy snowstorm. So I definitely need to put a good solid ridge piece in there. Good ridge piece made out of probably 2 or 3 2x4s or 2x6s screwed together, and then a couple of vertical 4x4s. That the whole thing can be removed so that when the chickshaw comes out in the spring, we can take those 4x4s out, which would otherwise be in the way for gardening. The far end of this hoop house has no wall. We just put plastic up, and we use those white clips to hold it in place. And for just 3-season gardening, that works quite well. But for the chickens being in here, we're going to have that plastic that you can probably see if I can point it out. At the moment, it's just kind of bunched up down there. But I'm going to unfold that plastic and put it over the end. And for the front, I've got a piece of plastic for the front, and I'm going to cut it down the middle and make what they call a scissors door, so that I'll in effect have 2 flaps, and I'll reinforce those flaps, and that'll be great for the chickens. So that would be a very interesting day, and that's coming up in about a week or 2 at the most. It has to happen before any heavy snow comes, so that we can wheel that chickshaw down along the pathway. So it has to go along that fence and then come out that gate right there, and then it's got to come down what we call the midway path right down to here. It'll come down the midway path. It'll come out that gate over there, come down the midway path, and then it'll turn right here, go through that opening, and then we'll back it right into that hoop house. That's going to be a rather extraneous workout, but I think it's doable. So that'll be an exciting day, and don't forget, we'll be filming that event. So you'll want to make sure that you tune in then. But we'll give you a fair warning a day or 2 ahead of time. So that's about it for the greenhouses. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Danielle still has a lot of parsley in there, but otherwise it's pretty much empty of any edibles. In this larger hoop house, though, we have a lot of various greens growing. These are Danielle's 2 lettuces. She calls them Winter Density. That's the variety. We planted spinach here twice. It's taken a while to get going. We may have waited too long, But right there is one coming up. Several more. They're coming up. And that'll be very exciting. There's a lot of broccoli on that one side. That broccoli she planted back in May, I think. Transplanted it in May. And it just keeps giving and giving. It's got little florets on it right now. And then under those white fabrics, she's got other brassicas. I don't want to disturb them. And then more vegetables under this white blanket. Over here we have a wonderful little bit of arugula coming along. They've got their secondary leaves already. And we've got a bunch of Claytonia, aka miner's lettuce, growing over here. That's the stuff that just keeps growing. Some people consider it invasive. We just eat it. So it's a lot of fun, these hoop houses, especially in the winter time, because I drop the side curtains and close the doors, and to come down here and work is just a lot of fun, especially during a rain event or a snowfall. It's just to be in there where it's kind of warm, relatively warm, and you look out the plastic or you look out the door and you see the rain or the snow or whatever. You see a lot of snow built up. I always have to maintain a pathway to the greenhouse with a snow shovel, but that's no problem. And that reminds me, snow. You have to have a system for removing the snow from the roof. I use one of the garden tools to just lightly tap the plastic. Most of the time, the snow just slides off. Every once in a while you get a freezing rain and then snow. It can be more difficult to get it off. But you do want to get that weight off. One time we had a really big snowstorm, about 3 feet of snow. And I just thought, oh, the greenhouse is not going to make it. But by golly, the next morning she was still standing. And we had snow almost all the way up to that second purlin there. That second purlin up, about 8 feet high. And I came down during my snow removal duties, and I brought a roof rake down with me, if you know what a roof rake is. And I had to pull that snow off of there. But not a big problem, and it's good exercise. This smaller hoop house, though, we usually just remove the plastic entirely, because it's not too formidable. The two of us can handle this small plastic. But the plastic on this big hoop house was extremely heavy. And of course we were much younger back then, and we were able to put it up ourselves. I don't know that we could repeat that feat. I don't know that we could do it again. So considering our age, I'm just hoping to just keep repairing this plastic. And but yeah, you definitely want to knock that snow off. So I guess that'll just about wrap it up from down here. I don't know what else to tell you about the greenhouses. I just don't know what to say, except we built our own. And if you don't think you can physically do it, you can probably design a greenhouse and get the materials, and you can probably get a couple of young lads in the neighborhood to put it up for you if you don't think you can do it. I mean, I was able to do it, but then again, when I was a young person, I was always an athlete. So doing physical labor, I've always enjoyed. I've slowed down quite a bit now, but back in the day, I really enjoyed physical labor and big projects like that. But I think you could do it, especially if you got some help. What else do I need to tell you? I do want to make chocolate chip cookies pretty soon. The carrot cake is almost gone. I had carrot cake for supper last night. So I'll need to make something sweet. Maybe chocolate chip cookies. Maybe that'll be Thursday. We're going to be doing sourdough bread in the near future. Every winter I make my New York style cheesecake. Lindy's. It's a Lindy's cheesecake that I got the recipe from my mother. And I got the cheesecake pan from my mother. I did this recipe last year. Some of you may recall that video. But I'll probably do another video because I think I'm a little bit better now in front of the camera and on camera, a little bit more confident. So I may do the Lindy's cheesecake video again. But what I definitely want to do is probably next month or late this month is I want to make a decadent cheesecake. Something that is just wild. I mean, it's just over the top cheesecake. I made it last year. And I mean, it is just to die for. But to make it, I need Oreo cookies. I do not like a graham cracker crust on my cheesecake, my New York style cheesecake, and I use a real crust on the New York Lindy's style cheesecake. But on the decadent cheesecake, the recipe that I have calls for broken up Oreo cookies. The problem with Oreo cookies is that, you ready for this? They're made out of bioengineered ingredients. Just about everything Nabisco makes is made with bioengineered ingredients, and that's a no-go for me. Campbell's soup is all bioengineered now. Of course, that's been for some time now. What else? Progresso soup held off, but they're now bioengineered. Hellmann's mayonnaise, which is why I started making our mayonnaise, because Hellmann's mayonnaise is bioengineered, although there are other mayonnaise options. But once I started making mayonnaise, it's so easy and tastes so much better. But in order to make that decadent cheesecake, I need to make my own Oreo cookies. And it's not hard. I don't get quite the crispness of crunch that they do. If you use the shortening that Nabisco uses, you can sort of get it, but we don't use shortening, really. And there's a little bit of a difference in the icing. Their icing is white. And you can get a vanilla flavoring that will give you that white, but I don't care too much about that. But I'll be making the Oreo cookies. And also, you need to make your own caramel sauce, because I looked at caramel sauces in the supermarket, and they're all high fructose corn syrup. It's not real sugar. You make caramel sauce with sugar, real sugar. And in fact, I'm having a hard time getting beet sugar, but that's another story for another day. So that's coming up, and I am also gonna Danielle and I team up together to make a quiche Lorraine, which is a wonderful quiche. It's the best quiche I've ever had. What makes it quiche Lorraine is Gruyere cheese, bacon, and leeks in the filling part. And I usually make the filling, and Danielle makes the crust. So that's something to be looking. That'll be an exciting video. So these are all projects coming up. These are cooking projects coming up in the distant future that I know we definitely want to do. What else? And of course there's the sewing, and there's the flax. So there's plenty to do. I have a lot of flax to break yet, but I can't show you flax breaking every day. You've already seen it. So so once I get all the flax broken, and I'm partway done, then we're going to start spinning, and we're going to do a deep dive into spinning flax. We're going to spin tow. We're going to spin wool. And I think I'm rambling now, so I'll turn it off. But so anyway, thanks for watching. And we'll catch you on the next one. Okay, bye.